Welcome, traders from across the globe. Thank you for tuning in to Tales from the Pit. Tales from the Pit, episode 2. Thank you for tuning in. So, if you remember where we left off yesterday, I basically took you from getting to the trading floor, and in my first 2.5 months or 2.5 weeks, how I got my job, I got fired from that job, and how I ended up in a gold booth with Dominic Orsiello as my mentor, and immediately he appointed me as his ring clerk. So that's where we left off. But an interesting thing happened last night when Lisa, my wife, watched it. She said, wait a minute, what about all that stuff that happened before you made it to the floor? What changed your mind about where you were going and what got you to do something like working on the trading floor? So I thought, you know what? Okay, if we're going to do this in chronological order, maybe, just maybe, I should share with you some of the things that happened that led me up to the trading floor. So first, let me just pull out the chat. I know there's a chat up here somewhere. Let me go find it and pull it out. And this way we'll have a chat room and we can, you guys can ask questions from there. So pop out chat, and that's out, and here it is. So if we want to chat with one another, I'm here for questions. All right, and now we can move forward. So let's just go back so I can see what I'm presenting. Okay, everything's there. All right, so I thought, in order for me to go back that far, I have to remove this jacket. Oscar has to go away. There was no Oscar. So for this portion of the story, which actually should have started before yesterday's, but that's all right. We'll throw it in today. I'm going to remove my jacket, and I'm going back to the days before Oscar existed. And my name was Michael. No, it was Michael Carboni, not Oscar. All right, so let me take you back a little bit, which will lead up to how I got to the trading floor yesterday. And if in some way this ends up being an audio book that gets transposed into a book, I might as well have some of this in there. So I don't know if you'll be interested in this, but it's the lead up to what got me to becoming a trader. So let's go back. We'll go back to like junior high school. I come from, I grew up in Stapleton Projects for a while, which was a really bad neighborhood, Park Hill, Stapleton. Moved to a place called Rosebank, but no matter which of those two neighborhoods you live in, and they're both bad, you've got to go to a junior high school called PS 14. And nope, that's not. You get out of 14 and you end up going to, what's the name of this junior high school? I'll think of it in a minute. So there's a principal of that junior high school in our bad neighborhoods called The Barge, B-A-R-G-E. Tough guy. Don't get into any fights around The Barge. He's tough. He'll break you guys up. He'll beat you up if he has to. So The Barge happens to have the Carboni family prior to me. And basically my family, my parents get told by the time they get to my brother Joey, which means they had Anthony, they had Lori, they got my brother Joey. They basically brought my family in to my parents and said, no more Carbonis are allowed to come to this school. That's it. Your son, Michael, he's not coming to this school. You send him to Egbert in Midland Beach, another neighborhood. We will refuse to take him if you try to register him. Now, they never even met me, but I guess my siblings were enough to make the boards go, nah, we're not taking a third one of you. That's it. So I and my brother Joey, who was thrown out of that school, by the way, which is why the boards wasn't going to let me in, Joey gets sent to Egbert. Now, Egbert's in Midland Beach, and Midland Beach is back in the 70s into the 80s, there were a lot of gang fights. Midland Beach totally hated Rosebank. So if you were a kid from Rosebank and you end up in Midland Beach, you got a problem. But the school I'm going to get sent to is in Midland Beach. All right. So my brother Joey, I'm still in grade school. My brother Joey does his second and third year in Egbert in Midland Beach. I'm going to be going once my brother gets out, so I won't even have protection. So he tells me as soon as he starts in that school, the fights start right away. They don't like him. You know what I mean? He's getting jumped. He's fighting back. But my brother Joey was a lunatic with 21 tattoos, shot, stabbed, you name it, over time. Nobody messed with him. You know what I mean? So he did all right there. Now it's my turn to go to this school. It's going to be my first day. So my brother's advising me, listen, these kids are going to mess with you. They are not going to like you. You're from the wrong neighborhood. So here's what you need to do. And don't back off. I don't care how big the kid is. What happens when you start in this school, you're a 7th grader, the 9th grader is going to initiate you. What you do is the first big kid that bothers you, you teach him what you know how to do. You know how to fight in this neighborhood. You beat the crap out of the biggest guy you can beat up right in front of everybody. Day one. Don't waste any time. Let them know I might be from Rosebank, but I'm not going down easy. All right, Joe, I'll do what you say. I'm a kid, right? My big tough brother's giving me this advice. All right, I'll do it. So my first day of Egbert, literally day one, 7th grade, you got to carry your books, right? And I'm walking around with my books. And I walk through there's swinging doors, you know, barn doors in the hallway. You walk through. I walk through a door and one of the 9th graders kicks the door and it hits me. And I don't know what to do because he keeps walking. So it's not the first guy that bothered me. I can't fight him because he walked away. Right after that guy does that, I have to go in the stairs to go downstairs to go to my next class. As I start walking in the stairs, a big, tall 9th grader looks at me and he knocks all my books down and they all fall. And it clicks in my mind what Brother Joey told me. And I leap on this kid. I leap on him onto his chest. I knock him to the floor and I'm banging his head on the stairs. Bang, bang. After the third bang, this big hand picks me up by my hair and drags me off of him and stands me up. And then he looks at me and I'm this little kid. This is a big guy on the floor. And he goes, "What are you beating up this big guy for? Why are you smashing his head into the stairs? You could kill him." And as calm as could be, I look up at this guy, who turns out to be Mr. Raffone, and I go, "Because he knocked my books down." And he looks at me and goes, "Oh, you're going to be tough, aren't you? You're going to be one of those kids. Come with me to the office, Carboni." All right. We go to the office. He calls my father. My father comes down. He tells him what happened. You know what? That's not enough of a reason for my dad to get mad at me. So my dad's not mad at me. All right. The kid stuck up for himself. He's in the wrong neighborhood. All right. If he does anything bad, you let me know. So from that day forward, Mr. Raffone decides, "Hey, you, Michael, you come with me. How are your grades?" "Well, you know, mensa mensa. I'm a pretty smart kid, but I hate school. I want to get out of school and go to work. I don't want to be in school. I want work. I want to go to work." He's like, "You know, you're 14 years old." I'm like, "Yes, but I want to go to work." 13, 14. He goes, "Well, you just got your working papers, right?" He goes, "It appears to me you're going to be a problem." I said, "Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but I wasn't allowed to go to the junior high school in my neighborhood, so I have to go to yours." And he says, "Yeah, I've been already informed about you. We had your brother Joey for 2 years. We know all about you." I said, "Oh, okay." So he goes, "How about we start a new program? How about we start something? I've flown to Washington for the last 2 years and I've lobbied for something. They finally approved it and gave us the money, and it's going to start this year. I created it in the United States. No other school is doing it, and it took me a long time in Washington, but I want you to be one of my test kids. How would you like to go to school until 11:30? Then you leave school at 11:30 and you go to a job and you work there until 4 or 5. You'll get paid for the job or volunteer. It depends on what the job is, but you'll get school credit and you don't have to be in school." I'm like, "You mean I could go to school till 11:30? And then I go to work and I can start a career?" It's like, "Of course. I get jobs for you kids. That's what I'm going to do." What could get better than this? A fist fight gets me this. Maybe I should go out and fight more. So Mr. Raffone gets me my first job. It's a volunteer job. This job is in Nina's Pizzeria on Staten Island in South Beach, and the job is for me to wash pots. Now, you got to understand, I'm a bad kid from a bad neighborhood, and I grew up in a family where everyone had chores. But those chores were the garbage, the dishes, and pots, and cleaning up after the dogs. 3 kids, we all used to have to take turns. However, my dad would say there's one chore you can buy your way out of. I know you don't like doing pots and dishes, me. I disdain doing pots and dishes. I'd rather throw them in the garbage. So, in fact, when I had my first apartment, I used to buy boxes of dishes, and when they were dirty, I would throw them in the garbage and open up another box. I don't like washing pots and dishes. So, my dad would allow me to pay $5 to my brothers and sisters, and they would wash my pots for me on pot week. All right, so I would get out of that. I would do their job, they would do mine. So the job at the pizzeria is to wash pots, and I promise you it's not going to go over well. So I get introduced to Nino, he brings me in the back, and he shows me this huge kitchen with 30, 40 pots. They're all dirty, they need to be washed and brought back to the front. So I start looking at the job, and I'm like, I'm not going to wash this, it's not going to go over well. I can't take this job, but I can't quit, what am I going to do? So that first day I'm working there, I explore and I open up a freezer door, big walk-in freezer. When I get in, it's full of new washed clean pots, just like the dirty ones on the sink. Doesn't take me long to figure this out. I take all the dirty pots and I start stacking them in the freezer, and I take all the clean pots, sprinkle them with water, and start sending them to the kitchen. Well, that only lasted about 4 days till they found out, and I get fired from my first job. I tell Mr. Raffone, hey, I lasted 4 days, Mr. Raffone. He's like, you are a lunatic. All right, let me get you another job. How would you like a job in Manhattan? Really? I get to take the ferry and go to Manhattan every day? He's like, yeah, I'll get you a job in Manhattan. Now, he asks me to choose 3 or 4 of my absolute worst friends, best friends, worst people, worst academic kids that are just going to create trouble at school. So I got 4 of my compadres. I give him their names, he brings them into the system. All 5 of us are going to get jobs. And he sends all of us to different jobs. So 2 of us are working one job, one's working another, 2 guys are working another one, and he'll rotate us every few weeks. So my first job is to be a messenger for Heemsoth Kerner Shipping Company, which means I go to a place, 225 Broadway in Manhattan, go upstairs to the 15th floor, where Mr. Kerner, some shaky old man, he'd walk over to me, tell me what to do. The idea was they would give us 4 or 5 envelopes that had to be messengered around Manhattan. I'm a messenger. You gotta remember, I'm 7th grade, 7th grader, I'm a kid. But I come from a bad neighborhood, and so do my friends, so what do we decide to do? Everyone's got a job. We all decide we get to work at noon, 1 o'clock, everybody, let's meet at the Blarney Stone and we'll drink. So this is what us lunatics do. I take the packages I'm supposed to deliver. I bring them with me, go to the bar, we drink, we eat, everybody's buzzed up. We all go back to our jobs at 4 or 5 o'clock. No one's done anything at all. No one's delivered any messages. And they would go, hey, you still got 4 of those in your hand. I gave you 5. And I go, yeah, I got lost downtown. I couldn't figure out where the other 4 go. And that went on for about 5 days till they catch up with us. We all get fired. Everyone switches jobs. My next job, I get to work in Manhattan for another job in Manhattan for Gary Adler at the Complete Athlete. Now, any traders might remember this. Didn't know I was ever going to work on the exchange, by the way, but the Complete Athlete was a store right at the bottom of the elevators of the 8th floor exchange in Manhattan, the Comex-NYMEX exchange. If you took the elevators to the concourse where you got out of the building, the first thing you seen was a sporting goods store. Turns out years later, I worked on that exchange at the bottom of the exchange at the elevators where that store was. But when I was a kid, I worked for Gary Adler at the Complete Athlete. So I'm a pretty good-looking kid in really good shape. Gary's wife was beautiful, but she might as well be a grandma. She was in her 20s, you know what I mean? She was like 23. She might as well have been 500. I was a 14-year-old kid. So, this lady likes me, like, too much. She's, like, chasing me around, and I had a job where I had to go downstairs into the stock room, which was 2 floors down, and all the way at the end of the hallway, and this lady would come in and, like, try to... I don't know. I was too young to know what she was trying to do, but it used to scare me. So I remember telling Mr. Raffone, you got to get me out of here. The guy's wife loves me. He switches that job, sends my sends my friend Pete to that job, sends me to another job. It's an all-girls clothing store in Manhattan. Thank you, God. Whoa! It's probably the best job I ever had at 13, 14 years old. My job was to make sure that every single little boxes for rings and earrings and clothes and shirts and ties, and every little box that they had rooms of boxes. My job was to keep the boxes. You know, almost like being a bar back, but for boxes. So, so from the complete athlete, he moves me over to that all-girls clothing store. And, you know, now these part-time jobs are just, you know, me and my friends are having a blast doing this. You know, it's volunteer work, but it's kind of time for me to make more money. I'm from a poor neighborhood. I'm a poor kid. My dad works 3 jobs. You know what I mean? We're all saving money in a box made out of wood with a slit in it for our first car. Everybody in the family's putting money in dollars, quarters, you name it. And we had $500 saved or $700. We bought our first car. Family like that, you know what I mean? So they weren't able to help me out in many ways. I had to kind of do stuff on my own. So, gotta make more money. I don't know how. These part-time jobs, I don't get paid. I do get paid. So I decide, I'm from a bad neighborhood and I don't smoke it myself, but I decide I'm going to go to one of my pot dealer friends and have him sell me enough pot where I could roll joints and put them in a cigarette pack and sell them near school, because that's what other kids do, and I need money really badly. And I'm not smoking it, you know what I mean? But money's money. Make some money, right? So my first day, I got this pack full. I don't sell them to anybody. I don't know what to do with them, to be honest. And I put them in my third period science, Mrs. Kenny. I put them in her desk. Like, you know, you take the stuff out of your pockets, put them at the desk that you're staying at for that one period. Bell rings in 45 minutes, you change classes. Well, I put the pack of cigarettes in there, and the bell rings, and I forget. And I walk down the hallway, and I go to my other class, and about 10 minutes later, I realize, oh my God, I left that pack. Someone's going to find it. I ask for the pass. I go back to that class. And Mrs. Kenny had already found them. She goes, is this what you're looking for, Carboni? Go see Mr. Raffone. Oh, no, I'm dead. I'm like, oh, no, I'm dead. So Mr. Raffone calls me in the office. He goes, what the hell with you? You've already had fights. You've lost 3 or 4 jobs. I really like you, he says. You're a great kid. You're going to do well when you get older, but you got to calm yourself down. Now, what is in this pack? I said, Mr. Raffone, you know my story. I'm a poor kid. I don't smoke. You see me. You see my eyes. I'm as clear as could be, but I'm selling it for money, but I didn't get a chance to sell any yet. Miss Kenny found them. He goes, yeah, I know. And she brought them to me. And being that she opened the pack, I cannot save you. The police have been called and your father's been called already. Then he takes me into a private room and we wait for my dad and mom. My dad shows up. Mr. Raffone throws that pack down on the counter, and there's only one joint in there. All the rest are gone. And he says to my dad, listen, I don't think your son smokes this. I think he was trying to make a couple of dollars. Things went wrong, and we found it. I wouldn't fault him too much. He's a good kid. He's having a tough life. My dad goes, this was my son's? And he brings me out into the hallway, and all of a sudden you smack, crash, bang, crack, boom, crack, ding, bang. I'm all beat up like in a Batman movie. Cow, pow. So Mr. Raffone opens the door and he sees me in the hallway all beat up. My dad leaves. He goes, all right, Mr. Carboni, I just saw what your dad did. I'm going to make a deal with you. From this day forward, anytime you get in trouble, you come with me, you go into my room, you put your hands behind your back and let me punch you around. I'll punch your arms, I'll punch your legs, I'll discipline you and send you back to class. Either that or I'll call your father. Go, deal, boss. So I swear to you, for the next 3 years, he must have beat me up 27 times. But he never called my dad. So I'm from that background. You know what I mean? I'm from the wrong side of the tracks, and that's that. This is who I am. But I'm a really sharp kid, and I am looking to get out of the wrong side of the tracks. I want to crawl out of this hole somehow. So finally, second year of junior high school, I've had 5 or 6 jobs with Mr. Raffone, and we've become good friends. I run into a friend from Rosebank, and Rosebank was one of those Italian, you might understand what I'm trying to say, type neighborhoods back in the 70s and 80s when you had a bunch of Italians in one area. You know what you had there, right? All right, so one of the boys comes up to me and says, hey, what are you doing? You want a job? What the hell, doing what? I'll show you. So with that, my brother Joey gets hired. 15 of his friends, they're all older than me. I'm 13, they're 15, 16-year-olds. He hires all of them, plus my brother Joey and me. Says, your brother Joey's in charge. Takes us to a Corvette store. Now, Corvettes is just like Walmart, like any other store. They used to be all over the United States. Corvettes went out of business, and some company, some Italian company from New York, from Brooklyn, bought all the Corvette stores in the United States, and we're going to auction off everything in the stores. So our job is, if there's cups, and there's 600 cups around this building, get all 600 cups, clean them, line them up, tag them, tell me how many, get them ready for an auction. We're going to have an auctioneer come in. So if there's racks, if there's tables, if there's showcases, clothes racks, everything, you got to go around this building and find all the things that look the same, clean them up, line them up, tag them, get them ready for an auction in 2 weeks. So my brother Joey is in charge, and he's got his 15 lunatic drug addict friends, and there's me. And about 6 days into this insane foray, the bosses bring me into an office and go, listen, you're about the only guy who does any work here at all. We want you to fire your brother and all his friends and bring in your own crew. You find your own friends. Do you want me to fire my brother and all his friends? Yeah, if you think you could do that. So I don't know, man. It's my brother and his friends. I mean, these are my friends too. You know what? Let me talk to my brother. So that night I go home. I go, Joe, listen, here's what happened. They brought me in the office and said, you guys are a bunch of lunatics. You don't do anything. All you do is go crazy here all day. And, no one's getting the job done. So they asked me to take over it. He wants me to fire you and all your friends. What do I do? Because, we're fired. Don't worry about it. We don't want this job. My brother Joey and all his friends leave, and I bring in 15 of my lunatic friends. Doesn't get much better, but the stories get good. So I bring my friends in, and we finish the Corvette stores, and now he buys. The last Corvette store is in Manhattan. 37th Street, it's 11 floors of Corvettes. Across the street from Macy's, 11 floors of Corvettes. On the 5th, 6th, and 7th floors are muzzler safes, money counting machines, and dividers that separate little office cubicles. So the big boss comes in. Frank Triple X, we'll call him. I don't want to say his last name. Hey, boys, I want this place cleaned up. Real mafia accent. I want this place. I want this. I want that. I want this. And there's a guy, Tommy, who's our boss, who's an adult. Now, I'll tell you one thing about the boys. When you work with them and you're a kid, you have no rules. The rules don't apply to you. You can do anything you want. You're not in trouble till you hit 18. So in other words, if you're one of the boys and you do something wrong and it creates a sit down or worse for you, if you're a kid, that never happens. You're not in the loop. The rules don't apply. You are just a kid. You get fired is the worst that'll happen to you when you work with the boys till you hit 18. So we've got this guy, Tommy. He's gone now, Tommy Antico. And he's our boss. And the big boss, Frank Triple X, says to Tommy, Tommy, come over here. You see these room dividers? I don't want them touched. I want them all lined up. They're very expensive. They're made out of this. Blah, blah, blah. I want them all lined up, ready for the auction. Anything happens to them, Tommy, you're going to pay for it. I'm in charge of my 15 friends, and this guy, Tommy's a total a-hole to us all the time. Gives me an opportunity. You mean Tommy gets in trouble if something happens to those partitions? So, I swear to God, here's what we do. We do everything we're supposed to do that day. We line up all the stuff. We do everything right. We take all those partitions. We line them all up. We make them look beautiful. 10 minutes before the end of the day, I went, all right, boys, get the fire extinguishers. Let's wreck this shit. Let's break all of them. We'll bust it all apart. We'll shoot them all with fire extinguishers and we'll leave. Let's see what happens to Tommy tomorrow. So, it's a true story. We wreck all these partitions because we know we're not going to get in trouble. He is. We get there in the morning. Tommy pulls up. Comes up all happy with his coffee in his hand until he sees all the wrecked partitions. At that moment, Frank Triple X is coming up behind him. The big crazy guy. Tommy, come over here. Tommy, I want you over here now. One of those guys. Tommy comes walking over to him. He grabs Tommy by his head and he brings him over to the broken partitions. And he goes, what did I tell you yesterday about these partitions? Didn't I tell you I wanted these lined up? And he takes his head and he starts smashing his head into these partitions. I swear to God, like in a movie. Smash, smash, throws him on the ground, kicking him in the stomach. We are on the floor, hysterical laughing that we got this guy finally beat up for the shit he does to us. So, well, you know, Frank beats him up a little bit and tells him, I don't want this to happen again. We take all the fire extinguishers and go have a fire extinguisher fight and wreck the whole building. He gets beat up again for that. So, at some point, I get serious. Now I hit like 14. I start getting serious, and they start sending me to these other buildings, and I bring in crews, and I'm banging this stuff out. I mean, I'm really good at what I do. And I'm setting up auctions, and what they're telling me is, all right, Oscar, here's what you're going to do. We're going to go to an auction. We're going to sell all the showcases. These are like, you know, if you walk in, you see a jewelry case, you know, glass jewelry case. We're going to sell all the showcases. They're $2,000 a case. But in the auction, yeah, we'll see if we can get more for them. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to listen to the people walking around before the auction. You're going to listen to people. When you hear somebody who needs 8 or 10 of those cases, you tell them, just buy 2 at the auction. Give me money and I'll sneak the other 8 out the back door for you. These guys would tell me to steal from them, sell it, and give them the money back. I swear to God, there was such crooks, such effing shysters. So they've got me stealing our own stuff and then selling it at 1/3 of the price and giving them the money of their own stuff. They also have people in the auction where when the auction finally starts, people walk around thinking about what they want, and then the auction finally starts. You know, when you go to these auctions, these boys put plants in the auction. So if they see a guy like me going, I need 4 cases, I'll pay $1,000. As soon as they see I'm a little overzealous, they've got plants in there going, I'll pay $1,500, I'll pay $1,700. And they force these poor people to pay more than they should. All right, but it's part of the game. So not bad, good money. I'm getting all kinds of money. They buy me a car, $500 a week cash, plus my salary. And, you know, they'd pay me on a Friday. And I'm a 14-year-old kid with a bunch of lunatic friends. They'd give me $500 on Friday. I'd come in Monday morning asking for a loan. Could I have an advance on my money, on next week's salary? Why? We gave you $500 on, this isn't the early 80s. We gave you $500 on Friday. It'd be like, yeah, me and my friends went crazy over the weekend. I had a bunch of poor friends from a poor neighborhood. I was making ridiculous money. So I would say to them, come on, guys, look at this pile of money. Let's burn it before the weekend's over. And we would just blow it up every weekend. Lots of fun, me and my friends. So anyway, start working with this auction company and things start to get serious. And now I am like the man. They ask me to hire people. They send me by myself to knock places out. And we get to a place where we have to do a... This was a sporting goods store. Yes, this was a sporting goods store in Fort Apache, the Bronx. And this is a neighborhood where a white boy like me showing up in that neighborhood, I'm going to be fried and skillet. I'm going to be put on a skillet and cooked up before I get out of the neighborhood, right? It's me and 4 of my friends. They send us, the mafia guys don't come with us. They send us alone to this place in Fort Apache where I promise you, as we get out of the car, they're like, dear Lord, what are you guys doing in this neighborhood? Get out of the neighborhood before something happens to you. All right, well, we have no choice. The boys sent us to do an auction. We're getting ready for an auction. I remember we're in there getting the place ready, and 3 guys come in with guns. They push the door open, 3 guys, guns, and they realize the type of establishment it must be. The second they open up the doors, they realize, oh, shit. What did we just open up the doors to? At that moment, I don't have any way out of this. I mean, they're going to shoot us. I happened to be opening a closet. The closet door was open, and there was a mop in there, and I took the mop, and I banged it against the inside of the closet door 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. I said, you guys make another move. I'll take this shotgun and blow your brains out with it. And they backed off, left the store. I had a mop in my hands, but they couldn't see it because I was in the closet. And that's it. We jumped in our car, drove away. Bad auction, bad everything. We didn't even do the auction. Now it's starting to bother me. You know, I don't know if I should keep working for these guys. Things are getting a little bit tricky. And here's what happens next. And I'll finish the story here. Tomorrow or Monday we'll do more. What happens next is they send me up to Nyack, New York to they send me up to Nyack, New York to a Toys R Us factory. They bought it. They bought everything in it. It's full of boxes of toys, brand new toys. Up in Nyack, New York, which is miles, 3-4 hours from where I live, in the snow. So they send us up to Nyack. And the deal in Nyack is there's so many toys up there from Toys R Us. I mean, all brand new, thousands of each thing. Get all the boxes that are the same, that are in perfect shape together, figure out how many, and we'll auction them all off. So I go up there, and there's big wheels, and there's this, and there's that, and you name it. Every great toy that you could ever buy for your kids for Christmas or holidays is there in stacks. So the idea is Oscar set this up for an auction. People will be coming up on Saturday. You're going to sell them everything under the sun. They're going to be the happiest people in the world. So get this. I've got people who have taken their life savings, mom and pop shops, little toy stores, little corner stores, little bodegas. These people have taken their life savings because they're going to come to Nyack, New York, where they're going to get toys at 10 cents on the dollar and literally get rich. This purchase will make them a lot of money when they bring it home and sell it retail. So I start selling this stuff. The auctioneer comes in. We spend the whole day Saturday selling off a whole bunch of stuff. Saturday afternoon, everyone's gone home. Now, we're up in Nyack, New York, 4 hours from New York City. I start getting phone calls from people. Hey, Oscar. What? That was Michael. Hey, Michael, what the hell did you sell me? I said, oh, what are you kidding me? I sold you toys for 10 cents on the dollar. How happy are you? None of these work. I said, what do you mean none of them work? I get another phone call. What the hell did you guys sell me? I spent my whole life savings on this. I'm broke. I'm coming up there to kill you guys. The next phone rings. I can't believe I bought these assholes. Made me sell defective toys to people. I had no clue. I would never do something like that. Freaked me out. It freaked me out. I mean, I lost my mind on these guys. First of all, I had to get in the car and get out of there because they were going to come up there and kill me, these people. And that made me quit. I went to these guys and said, listen, there is no way I will ever do something like that again. What? How could you people live with yourselves? How do you look in the mirror in the morning? You destroyed families, and you left me looking like the guy who did it. I quit. And I walked out the door, and, they fought for me for a while, and the two brothers were going back and forth, raising salaries and trying to get me to come back. But instead, I decided to... junior high school was just ending, and got with the Mafia guys, stayed with them all the way until I was 18 years old. This was literally graduating high school when I had to make a choice. And they would try to keep me with them, and I went, after what you guys made me do, I quit. I'm going to Waldbaum's. I'm cutting cold cuts at Waldbaum's. I'm going to college, and I'm becoming a computer programmer. And I quit these boys right when I was allowed to, and I went and started the life that I mentioned in last night's or in yesterday's episode from the Pit Part 1. So I wanted to bring you up to speed at what brought me to the trading floor. So now I've got you kind of a little more background to why I ended up leaving the nasty life I was in and finding the trading floor at 18 years old, like I told you in yesterday's episode. So that's going to be it for today's episode. Till Monday, we'll do this again. I kid you not. This life of mine is so vast, and it goes in so many places, and the stories are just fantastically cool. I think you'll really find this entertaining, and I promise as we get back to the floor stuff, I'll share a lot of tips and tricks that I learned over the years with you. So thank you for tuning in. Remember to simply just come join me at livewithoscar.com. It's really, really, really easy. Go to livewithoscar.com, which kind of looks like this, even though I got my screen in front of you guys. And register or log in and just come join me in my live trading room where I'll be sitting right after I'm done with this stream in this live trading room, and you guys can converse with me further. I live in that trading room 24 hours a day. So again, thanks for tuning in, and remember, kids, stop sorting, which didn't exist at this point in my life. Emotions are out. All right, episode 3, we'll get